My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Top Gun Maverick. And what a wonderful day it is. It's time to celebrate, really, because for the past few years, I've seen the trailer for this movie so many times. So many times. And the movie's out now. I never have to see that trailer ever again. My sanity can come back to me. So yes, it is quite the occasion to celebrate. Also, I will say that I'm a little bummed out because I didn't watch the trailer for Mission Impossible 7 on Monday, so I could watch it for the first time in IMAX, and I didn't get the trailer tonight, so that's really disappointing. But anyways, let's talk about Top Gun. I did review the first movie earlier today. I do like that movie. I think it's enjoyable. I don't think it's great, but I still like it quite a bit. But I also never thought we needed a sequel to it, and when I heard they were making one, I'm just like, oh, really? It's just going to be a cash grab. And after watching this movie, I was wrong. I'm glad this movie exists. Now, lots of people are calling it the best movie of the year. They're calling it one of the best blockbusters ever. And do I agree with that? No, I don't think it's that good, but it's definitely an enjoyable movie that the vast majority of people will enjoy. But let's get to the movie. First with the cast, and you've got the man himself, Tom Cruise. He is legitimately one of the best actors ever. He gives amazing performances in movies like Magnolia and The Last Samurai, but he is the best action star to ever exist. He just puts so much of himself into these movies, and you can tell. Anytime Tom Cruise is in an action movie, there's clearly love, care, and passion put into it. And the fact that he did all of his own stunts in this movie is just, it's still just insane. It blows my mind. Like, you can say what you want about Tom Cruise, but as an actor and as a stunt person, I have a lot of respect for him. That said, his performance is good in this movie, but his character isn't given a ton to work with, I don't find. I think it's a very standard character, but he does bring lots of charisma to it, and I did enjoy it whenever he was on screen. Then you've got Miles Teller, who I do like as an actor. Back in 2013, he was in this movie called The Spectacular Now, and he was really good there. And then he deserved an Oscar nomination for Whiplash, so the guy's talented, but where has he been? I feel like I haven't seen him in anything since Fantastic Four, maybe? No, War Dogs? Was that the last movie he was in? But anyways, I'm glad he's in this movie. He does a good job here, and it kind of shocked me just how similar he looked to Anthony Edwards in some moments. He was very well casted. Then you've got Jennifer Connelly, who I do enjoy in this movie. I think she brings a certain sweetness. She's very cute here. But I will say that I don't think this romance was needed. I know it gets more girls to want to see this movie, but it felt like an unnecessary part. And then you've got Val Kilmer, and I do think his addition in this movie is a little forced, but they did handle him really well. It's one of those times where real life feels like it finds its way into the movie, and they did handle him very well. Then you've got Jon Hamm, who I thought was good in the movie. You've got Glen Powell, who I thought just had so much charisma in this movie. I think this guy could be a real star, but I wanted more from him. Like, he's really great in the movie, but he's not given a lot to work with, and I would have liked it if he was in it a bit more. You've got Bashir Salahuddin, who I thought was delightful, but he's not really in the movie all too much, and it seems like he was good friends with Maverick, and I kind of would have liked to see more of that friendship. Then you've got Monica Barbour, who I think does a good job in the movie, but I also wanted more of her. And then you've got Lewis Pullman, who I haven't seen in a movie since Bad Times at the LOL, which he was great in, but he's good in this movie, but I do find his character to be handled very oddly, because when he's first introduced, it feels like he's gonna be like one of the comedic relief characters, and he's definitely that for the first scene, but then he just kind of disappears, and it just felt odd. I definitely would have liked to see more from the supporting cast, and I'll touch on that a bit more later, because I think they weren't always handled the best. But let's also talk about Joseph Kuczynski, who is a director who is very hit or miss for me. He did Tron Legacy, which has a great visual style to it, but it's got very sloppy storytelling. to the best of my memory. It's been a while since I've seen it, to be fair. He also directed Oblivion with Tom Cruise, and that movie, once again, very interesting stylistically, but the story, if I remember correctly, is just the same plot as The Island. And then he also did this movie called Only the Brave. And if you haven't seen Only the Brave, it's his best movie. It's a really good one, worth checking out. And I think this is his best directed movie. I think he handles this movie incredibly well, especially with the amount of practical effects and stunt work going into it. It must have been a very difficult job, but he really does pull it off with ease. My biggest complaint of the original Top Gun is the aerial scenes. Like, whenever they're up in the air, I didn't really care all too much. But Joseph Kuczynski he goes all out in those sequences in this movie, and you can tell, because those sequences were a huge improvement in this movie. Just the way it's shot, it's very well captured, and the sound is absolutely fantastic. It's very immersive. Watching it on an IMAX screen is the best way to go about it, because that is when the movie just really worked for me, is in those aerial sequences. I also think the movie does a good job of preparing you for the last act, because they go over their plan so many times to the point where you know it by heart, and then in the last act, when everything's going down, it's just been so well built up to that you understand what they're trying to do and how and all that. So I thought that was a really impressive element, and there is some great tension, and there are some, oh my goodness, I do have a speech impediment, thrilling sequences in this movie. But that all said, I do have problems with it. It's kind of the reverse of the first movie, because I really like everything on the ground in the first movie, but all the aerial stuff I didn't care about. In this movie, all the aerial stuff is fantastic, but the stuff on the ground didn't work for me as much. But let's get the obvious out of the way for me, and that's the nostalgia. I don't like how they handled it. The very first scene in this movie I did not like at all, and there's one scene where the song Great Balls of Fire, or as Jerry Lewis would say, Great Balls of Fire, comes into play, and just the way that scene is handled feels so incredibly forced. And then one of the last scenes of this movie just, it made me roll my eyes. It's the nostalgic elements of this movie didn't work for me in any way. And also the main emotional story between Tom Cruise and Miles Teller didn't quite have the impact the movie seeked to have. By the end, it did hit me a little bit, but up until that point, I found it to be a very walky ride. I wasn't able to connect with it consistently throughout the entire duration of the movie. Like, I do like the fact that they're carrying some of the weight from the first movie into this one, but there's some backstory between the two of them that just didn't really work for me on an emotional level. And another issue I do have with this movie is that even though the last act is very well built up to, the villains, the threat, they aren't built up to at all. Like, the mission is, but the villains aren't at all. So at the movie, I'm just like I know what they're going to do, but why are they doing it again? What's going on? I just had zero investment in that plot. And nor does the movie really try, to be fair. But still, if you get reminded that there's a threat, you raise the stakes, you raise the tension, and it could have been all the better for it. So I kind of, like, it could have just been any mission at all. And I know that's a deliberate choice. I would have just liked for them to make another deliberate choice. And like I said earlier, I don't like the way the supporting characters were handled, because some of them are really great and then they just don't really do anything. And I feel like if you cut out the romance entirely, I get why it's there. It does provide some nice streetness, but it just feels like a retread of the first movie with that plot. So get rid of that, and then just have Maverick at Top Gun with his class and focus more on Glenn Powell and some of the other characters a bit more. I think the movie would have been all the better for it. And there's one last thing I want to say about this movie, and this is pure subjectivity, but I was never going to love this movie as much as Mission Impossible Fallout. Dogfights and aerial battles, the entire movie, just don't grab me as much as hand-to-hand combat sequences or chase scenes or just any of the type of action that's in the Mission Impossible movies. I still like the action moments in this movie, but if I had to pick between dogfights or car chase down the streets of London, I'm choosing the latter every single time. That's just the way I like my action movies. But look, this is still a movie definitely worth watching. It feels like an 80s movie made today, and that's one thing I really appreciate about it. I think most people are going to absolutely love this movie, and I totally get it. It is a very entertaining movie, and I was entertained from beginning to end. The cast does a really good job. It's incredibly well directed, and those sequences in the air are just breathtaking. They're thrilling, tense, and the last act of this movie is really great. It's got its issues. I wish they handled some stuff better. I didn't need the nostalgia bits, but this movie is still worth your time. So I'm going to go ahead and give Top Gun Maverick a 6.5 out of 10. Oh my goodness, one thing I totally forgot to mention is that the Lady Gaga song at the very end of this movie is great. Just terrific. I really love that song. But did you watch Top Gun Maverick? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.